Okay, I'll start this process by designing the cross on paper, printing it, and then gluing it onto the silver. I drill a small hole for my scroll saw to go through, and I just start cutting it out. And I cut just outside the line, and that way when I sand the edges, it will be right about where I want it. There we go. Now I marked the center in that cross there. I marked the center with a style because I want to know where that center is. Now I take acetone and I put it in a little container, and I'm going to drop this cross into that acetone, and that will release the glue on the paper. And you can see here it's going to slide right off of there, and it doesn't really leave much residue. These Maltese crosses are popular among firemen. This is a fire department type symbol. Now I just wipe it off, and you can see where I pricked the center there. This is the process where I needed that center. Okay, I'm going to measure the design and the width of that circle there, and then I'm going to transfer that to my dividers. This way I can mark a center on the Maltese cross, and then when I go to transfer my design, I know pretty much how to line it up on the cross. Now I just rotate it on a piece of Delrin, which makes it rotate easy. And there we go, we got it scribed. Now we're going to start the transfer process. I first clean it with alcohol, and I just use about 50% here. I got a spray of it, and I just rub it on there, clean everything off of it, the oils and everything. Now I cut out the center part of the design, and I've got the center marked, and I've got the center marked on the cross too. And I use this transfer solution. I'll put the recipe for this in the description. And this stuff, I mixed it up a couple of years ago, and I'm still using it. Anyway, it's got varnish, damar varnish in it, and some different things. Anyway, I'm sorry the camera angle got kind of low here, but what I'm doing is painting it on the cross where the emblem's going to go down. And then I stick it to it because it becomes sticky. You let it dry until it kind of transfers your fingerprint onto it. Now I just burnish it real good, and this transfers the it gets it stuck down to the cross real well. And then I take some cheap type nail polish remover, and I just get a little bit, and I don't want to soak it real thoroughly, just dampen it real good, and that will release the ink off the paper onto the cross. And I use a laserjet to print my designs. Anyway, and then I burnish it again, and then I take water and I start soaking it, and you can see here how I've got it good and soaked with water. And then that paper will just crumble off the back, and you just want to carefully keep rubbing on it until all the paper crumbles off, and it will leave the design. You can see here how sharp that design is, and it will stay on there. It's hard to rub off. You virtually got to sand it off with some steel wool. Anyway, I've got that done. So I'm going to stick it to my plate here. I take some blue masking tape and I put on the back of it, and that's the first process. And I've got a steel plate I put in my vise, and I've got some hot glue hot gun glue, the sticks that you put in a hot glue gun. And I take them and cut them into discs, and I melt them on top of this plate. And then I just heat it up with my torch. I heat the plate so it won't cool off real fast. and I heat the glue until it turns liquid. Once that happens, I stick the masking tape backed cross into the glue and push it down with a wooden dowel so I don't burn my fingers. And it will stick. And this holds it real well for engraving. Now I level my plate up that way and this way. I want to make sure it's level so it rotates evenly. And then I take a pointer and I twirl the vise to make sure it's rotating in the center. If it's not, I slide it over a little until I get it rotating in the center. This will keep it centered when I turn it looking through my microscope. Okay, we got that done, and I'm going to cut the outer circle that we scribed a while ago with a square graver. I apologize for the lighting. I had my light on my microscope and I forgot to turn it off. Here I turned it off, and you can see I'm cutting some more of the design. All this is with a square graver. I did the letters with the square graver and the flames and everything. Anyway, I'm getting that all cut. And this top method of sticking it down works real good. I also use that method with buckles. Okay, spray it with some alcohol. You can put it in the freezer and it'll pop right off after it gets cold. But I'm in a hurry here, so I just spray some alcohol on it and just gently pry it up, and it'll pop right loose. That alcohol makes it turn loose. And then I just pull the tape off the back of it, and it's clean. And that plate, you can just reuse it. It don't mess the glue up. That alcohol will just, you can wipe it right off and you're ready to go again. Sometimes I have to add a little glue to it. Anyway, I got a little engraving on the back of this thing. It says from Dad 2025. Anyway, I just rub it clean. Get all the alcohol off of it and everything. And I've got it all engraved. And then what I did is I sanded it real good, and I drilled a hole in the top of it to put my bell through. I sanded the edges back and front. Here I'm putting a bell on it. I used half round sterling silver to make a bell. It needed to be a big bell because this boy uses a chain. Anyway, and I roll the solder 65% up into a ball. And I apologize for not filming the part where I put the solder to close the bell. Something went wrong with my filming. But I just touched that ball to the joint with some flux on it, and it just adheres to it. Now I'm polishing that that solder off a little bit because I got a little too much. Cleaning up that bell. And then I'm going to polish this cross up with my buffer. I used white compound and then some Zam. And I just polished it front and back, and that's it.